Morning all. So I'm back out again. I'm on the Bures Lake, which is the London Anglers Association run water on the Essex Suffolk border. 5-acre lake full of a lot of lily pads and a lot of weed. So what I'm going to do this week is, my target is primarily carp, but there are a few tench in here, and as you know, I love a tench. Before it's all gone, so I won't turn my nose up if one of them comes along. I'm going to go through a step-by-step process of how I approach a very weedy water like this, finding clear spots, choosing my areas, how I bait up, what rigs I use, presenting those rigs, and then hopefully some fish as a result of it. So yeah, let's show you where I've picked. As you can see, it's out on a point, so it's a narrower part of the lake as you're looking around, and you can see I've got a big lily pad bed in front of me. And then if I go round to one side here, you can see lovely park right behind the swim. Then you're looking at the main part of the lake, and I don't know if you can see that weed on the surface. And the first thing I did, and there's a lot of it, is find an area where there weren't so much weed floating on the surface, for potential clear spots. So I'm going to show you now how I actually find a clear area rather than a clearish area. All right. So I've picked this area, as I say, on the point. It's actually swim number 5. Big lily pad bed in front of me, and what I'm going to do is hopefully find a clear area to the side, the right hand side of those lily pads. And the way I'll do that, I'll do it with marker float, but instead of using a lead, if you use like 2-3 ounce lead like I normally do for my marking up, you pull it and it will suggest to you that it's relatively clear. What I want to find is a absolutely clear area, because I'm actually going to fish feeders this week, swim feeders rather than leads. And the reason is, I found over here the carp most definitely are attracted to the sound of a swim feeder hitting the water, and then obviously you've got that amount of bait. You can go with a PVA bag, either way both work over here, but rather than tying a lead on the bottom, what I do is I tie a feeder on the bottom. And if I show you, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast up the side of those pads with the swim feeder and the marker float. What I do is I'll give it a few seconds. I've got about 4.5 foot there. I don't know if you can see my marker float. And you can see that's completely clear. And I'll have a couple more casts. But by using a swim feeder, if I cast out with a lead, it will suggest to me that it's clear, but it might not be as clear as I want it to be. And on a very weedy water like this, I want my bait presented properly on the bottom. I want the fish to be able to find it, because I'm going to put out a lot of free offerings via a spod rod. I don't want the fish going around finding all the free offerings and then not be able to find my hook bait in the weed. There you go, you can see that's completely clear, so that makes sense. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the bait that I'm going to use, and then how I'm going to actually put it out. And when I say bait, I mean ground bait. So right, so this is going to be my feed mix, and I'm going to put this out with the spod. What I want to do is have a scattering of bait over a biggish area, try to get the fish grazing, and then just fish I'm only going to go with 2 rods, because of the nature of this water. You start fishing 3 lines and you're hooking carp and they're all crossing over each other, where I'm going to be fishing close, and it just makes more sense. So I'm going to start with a whole pint of Temp. It's going to go in. That's from Dean's Tackle, as always. Then I've loosely crushed some boilies, and you can see what I mean by loosely crushed. They're in biggish bits, but I don't want whole boilies out there, and I crushed up 16mm for the purpose of this. I don't mind it going to a bit of dust, but I want some big bits. It's just going to keep the interest of the carp and or the tench. Then I'm going to put in there's a lot of rudd in here, and a few roach, and they will work their way through your bait, trust me. So I'm putting in quite a lot of bait, and I'm going to put in some biggish bait, like I said, the bigger crushed boilies, and a whole tin of Temp and Morrison's, naturally sweet, nothing else in it. Then I'm putting in some 6mm pellet. I'm going to put in about, I guess, a good amount of those. I guess about a quarter of a bag of those. And then I've got some sticky krill pellet, but they're tiny little pellets, and yeah, the small fish will take them, but there'll be, I'm going to put a good amount of those out, and the idea is that the small fish are not going to find them all, and there's still something to keep the interest of the carp, and they're going around and they're sucking up these tiny little bits, and as soon as they come to your hook bait and it's a decent sized bit of feed, they'll grab it hopefully. So I'm going to put in probably about a quarter of a bag of those, and then I've got my old favourite Dean's tackle, the micro pellet, same sort of size, a mil, and I'm going to put in a good amount of those as well. I want to try and maintain the interest of the fish. And then this bulk feed, Vitamin we used to call it, I think Cop Mill make it, call it Vita Carp now. That's probably so they can put a couple of extra quid on a packet. Nice, just saw a kingfisher go past. I'm going to put a good amount of that in, and then just to bind it together, because I don't want it falling out the spod and scattering everywhere as I'm casting it. I'm going to put some ground bait, some krill ground bait in. That'll just help to bind it together. And then just to darken it up a bit, I'm going to put a small amount of black ground bait, because the bottom's quite dark in here. So yeah, I don't want my bait, I want a fish to see it, but I don't want it to stand out, if that makes sense. So I think that comes from all the years of fishing Alton, where everything in there scared of the pike, because the pike are like crocodiles. Anyway, right, let's get this mixed up and I'll get it out and I'll show you how I do it. And this is the match angler in me. I like everything to be accurate. What I do is I have a couple of casts with the spod without anything in it, and then clip up the exact distance. And what I'm going to do is spread my bait out from the right hand side of those lily pads in about a 10-foot square area, and you can see how my mix looks once it's been, I've added some water to it and mixed it up. It's mostly, as you can see, quite loose, but it's with that little bit of ground bait in there, it'll pack in the spod nicely, and it stops. If you just put loose pellet, loose boilies and stuff like that and you cast the spod out, it ends up going everywhere. And again, this goes back to me wanting to be accurate. And what I do is I fill my spod up, pack it in nice, and I'll show you exactly how I do this. What I do is I've clipped up just beyond where I'm going to be casting my hook baits, and then what I do is I'll cast out and I'll drag it back, and I'm here for 36 hours, so I'm going to put probably about 20 of these spods out. I won't show you me casting all 20. So from there all the way across to the pads is where I'm going to be putting my feed. And I don't know if you noticed, as my spod hit the water, I pulled it back about 6 foot, and it just creates that carpet of feed spread out over a big area. Hope that makes sense. So right, let's get the rest of it out and then I'll go through my rig. Right, so this is the rig I'm going to use. As I said earlier, I'm going to use a feeder. Quite often in a water like this, common sense suggests fishing a lead, because any weed you come into contact with, you're going to pull through it easier. But what I have found is fishing a feeder in here, the carp are stimulated by the sound of the feeder hitting the water, because so many pleasure anglers fish it for the tench and such like, and chucking out balls of ground bait fishing feeders. The sound of a lead hitting the water isn't the same, and it sometimes with the feeder, same as on autumn water and other venues like that, the sound of the feeder hitting the water is like a dinner bell to the fish. So I've got a heavy feeder, so you can see it's 50 gram, one of those Drennan ones. I've given the fish about 3 inches of movement. I'm going with a sticky krill 12mm active boilie with a bit of pink corn. That's a size 8 Drennan barbel hook, and as you can see, I put that silicone sleeve over the hook. Two things: it keeps all my rig nice and straight and in a line, so the hook's not kicking to one side. But the other thing as well, and this is a really important aspect, the fish puts its mouth over the top, or its top lip over the top of the bait. If it tastes the metal, if you've ever had metal in your mouth, you know exactly what it tastes like, and it's horrible. Times that by 1,000 for the fish. So by putting that bit of silicone tubing over the top, it results in a much more confident bite. And then halfway down my rig, that's 15-pound Gardner specialist braid that's been stripped back. I've got a little stopper bead, and that stopper bead goes inside the feeder. Hopefully you can see this, so that when the feeder's packed, it's a bit fiddly without the ground bait, the hook hangs that much below. It stops tangling, it stops it wrapping over the top, especially as today I'm going to be doing an underarm cast. It eliminates that issue with an underarm cast of the bait flicking over the top, and you end up with tangling. And then if it tangles over the top, you've eliminated that free movement. And the idea behind that free movement, and I've said this before, especially with bream, fish bend down, pick the bait up, especially a bigger fish. As soon as it starts to sit back up with the bait in its mouth, it feels the resistance of the lead or the feeder or whatever you're using. By giving them a bit of free movement, it means they can sit up, not feel anything. They've got the bait in their mouth, they can't taste the metal because it's covered with the silicone, and they turn sideways. And as they turn sideways, they then come into contact with the lead or the feeder, feel the weight of it, boom, and they're hooked. I hope that makes sense. Right, I'm going to get my rods out. Instantly, a couple of people have said that they were under the impression that when you subscribe to YouTube videos, you have to pay. It's 100% free. So those of you who haven't subscribed because you think you have to pay, you don't. Is all you'll get is the odd email notification when I've put a new video up. And if you want to subscribe and want to see what I'm putting up, then hopefully there's no issue in that. So please do subscribe, get my numbers up. Cheers guys. Right, let's get the rods out. Me wanting to be really accurate, the first thing I do before I cast is I'll clip up to the distance, and I put a bit of red electrical tape, hopefully you can see that, and then each time I'm casting in exactly the same spot. I want to be right on the top of my feed, right in the middle of it, right in the exact spot. Once I've cast, I then take that clip off. Obviously if a carp takes, last thing I want it to do, hit the clip, which, because I'm not fishing very far out, will only be a couple of foot on the line, and it won't take much, and then your rod's in the water. So, but yeah, just use a bit of red electrical tape, you can see that, and that's how I go about casting to the same spot every time. It's a bit like when you're fishing a float or a wagger. Put your ground bait out, you put your float right in the middle of the ground bait. You don't put it 10 foot to one side or 6 foot beyond it or whatever. I hope that makes sense guys. Cheers. First fish of the session. Coming in with a lot of weed around it. Tench. There we go. her out and have a look at her. So, there you go, first fish, tench. You can see, just about £4. A bit of a split in its tail, but it's pretty good nick. Let's get her back, see if I can catch some more. The one, oh, it's particularly big. There's a couple of tench so far. Not really sure what it is. Either a decent tench or a small carp. Just lower that other rod down so I can get over the top. It's actually a tench, nice one as well. So that was a bit of a scrap, that's for sure. Lovely on these rods. Third tension session. Have a look at this one. Right, let's have a look at this tench. Maybe about slim. Maybe about 4 and a bit, 4.5 maybe. Yeah, probably about 4.5. Happy with that though, third one of the session. Just want to carp now. Beautiful evening looking out over the main part of the lake. Had 3 tench during the day, plenty blowing up in front of me. Lovely sunset. It's a beautiful lake, a lot of lily pads, a lot of weed. You can find gaps, catch the fish.
You gave me the cold. Now I'm out here shaking with no handhold.
Blimey, it was a chilly one last night. Went down to 6 degrees. Full moon as well, as you can see. Looks like the sun. So bright, very hard going. I managed 1 carp and 1 more tench during the night. See how I get on this morning.
Your lies still echo, soft as a scream. I wake in the darkness, still lost in that dream. There's no place to fall.
Morning all. Boy, that was a cold one last night and a full moon. Went down to 6 degrees. Sign of things to come, I guess, in the winter. Yeah, hard going. I had 5 tench and 1 carp. The fish were about, but the aerator has been going and it's a proper bit of kit. and that's been going since yesterday lunchtime, and I'm not sure whether that's put the fish off a bit or whether it was just a combination of that, the full moon, clear night. I didn't need my head torch during the night, but yeah, and being so cold, and it was really cold. Well, it felt really cold. I don't mind 6 degrees, but not in September. Anyway, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe. It's completely free. I know 1 or 2 people have expressed an opinion. They thought when they subscribe they have to pay. You don't. It's free. You don't have to pay to watch any YouTube at all. All you have to do is sign in with your Google account or an email account and subscribe, like, comment, anything. You feel free to ask me any questions, anything I haven't covered. I'm more than happy to share what I've learned over the years. So yeah, onwards next week. I'm not sure. I'll have a think. Not sure where I'm going to go. Anyway, thanks for watching and speak to you soon. Cheers.